Meantime, Ford Motor Company reported a loss of $1.3 billion in the first quarter of 2024 on electric vehicles, or more than $130,000 for each EV sold. Here's One America's Daniel Baldwin.
Massive financial loss for Ford Motor Company, $1.3 billion in the first quarter of 2024 on Ford's electric vehicle unit. It only sold 10,000 EVs in the quarter, down 20% from the year prior. I want to bring in Daniel Turner, founder and executive director of Power the Future. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
Thank you.
Obviously, really nasty numbers. Does this highlight a broader resistance from the American consumer? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, there's been a huge downturn in the EV market, no doubt, and that's because it's really been propped up by a lot of government. There's huge tax incentives, there are huge EV mandates, and there's a lot of pressure on the motor companies to create these cars. But the problem is that that's only going to last for so long, and those who wanted an EV in 2022 and 2023, they bought them. But now there's still 300 and some odd million Americans who don't want an EV, and there's this glut of vehicles that are not being moved. And so this is what happens when government starts to get involved in markets, and government picks winners and losers, and government decides what you should be driving. You're going to have this absolute chaos in the industry, and that's what we're seeing.
You're 100% right. Just a few more numbers, Daniel. Ford officials are estimating that its EV division will lose up to $5 billion this year. By comparison, though, it's fairly interesting when you look at their Ford Pro division, which sells internal combustion vehicles. They posted an earnings before interest and taxes of $3 billion as its revenue jumped by nearly 40%. You know the phrase, the proof is in the pudding. What story do these seriously contrasting numbers tell?
Well, you can't force consumer behavior unless you have some punitive measures. And so the punitive measures are measures like you see in California. It will be illegal to buy a combustion engine vehicle after 2030, right? The government can force you to act a certain way, but if you have freedom and a free market, and this administration is not a fan of either, if you have freedom and a free market, that's what will dictate consumer choice. And consumers want combustion engine cars for multiple reasons, right? They're concerned about the plug-in technology. They're concerned about distances. They're very expensive. They tend to be a lot smaller, right? So there's lots of reasons why you would or wouldn't buy an EV. I'm not anti-EV. Buy whatever you want. It's a free country. But when the government says this is the vehicle you have to drive, you're going to have this terrible chaos in the EV market, and we're seeing that. The best example you can get for a car company who knows how to handle this current situation is Toyota. They're the world's largest automaker, and they've never gone the EV route. They've gone with hybrids. Everyone knows the Prius, but the Toyota chairman, and he's gotten some flack for it, has said very clearly, we don't think EVs are the way of the future. And so Toyota has stayed out of it, and Toyota, you look at their numbers, has made the right decision.
Certainly, I have, Daniel, and it's fascinating too. The timing of this report, it came after the Environmental Protection Agency issued a new rule last week which mandated that coal-fired plants capture smokestack emissions or else face closure. This is, of course, the first time the federal government has restricted CO2 emissions from existing power plants. Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong here. Don't EV battery factories, aren't they powered by coal? Am I missing something?
20% of our electric grid is powered by coal, and the idea that we're going to replace it with wind and solar is absolutely laughable, because when wind and solar stops working, what does work is coal and nuclear and natural gas. And so the reason why we use these materials, these fossil fuels especially, is because they work regardless of the sun, regardless of the wind. So for the Biden administration, which really is an ongoing extension of the Obama war on coal, they hate coal. And they've been trying to outlaw coal forever. But coal has a huge advantage. It's inexpensive. We burn it very, very cleanly in America. Those images they show of the smokestacks, that's water vapor coming out. It's not smoke, right? It is literally water vapor. We do it very, very environmentally well. And it employs lots of people, and we have it in tremendous abundance. Pennsylvania has a lot of coal. Wyoming has a lot of coal. Alaska basically is one lump of coal. So we have so much of it. It powers the country. You have to wonder why the administration is so hell-bent on destroying an industry that is so essential to our well-being and our prosperity.
100%. Daniel Turner, Power of the Future, thank you so much for joining us and breaking it all down, as you always do. Thank you so much for joining us in studio.
Thank you.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.